The story of Alfred Nobel is instructive for each of us personally and the world at this moment in time. The story is told that on the morning that Alfred Nobel was going to bury his brother Ludwig, he opened up the newspaper, and rather than see an obituary about his brother, he saw an obituary about himself. He didn't like what he saw. In the newspaper it said, "We're sorry to announce the passing of the doctor of death, the purveyor of dynamite." And in that moment he asked himself, is this the way that he's going to be remembered? Is he going to remember for accumulating wealth for his own glory? Or is he going to be remembered for helping make the world a better place? It was in that moment that he decided to harness his wealth, to dedicate the Nobel Prize for which generations have been the beneficiaries. Rather than let that awakening go in one ear and out the other, he decided to transform his life. I believe the world very much right now, and all of us are going through one of those inner earthquakes. A moment when we are turning off the outside noise, the hustle and bustle, and beginning to potentially think a little more deeply in the silence about who we are and who we want to be. The book that I wrote is based on the following premise. You're at a funeral, and as you walk out of the funeral, you have a moment where you say to yourself, I hope they speak about me the way they spoke about that person. Regardless of your faith, we all feel we want more out of life. We focus not on what is urgent, but what is important. And then about 15 minutes later, we go back to life as usual. But the truth is that's not the way life is meant to be led. It could have been after 9/11, September 12th was also a day when we're able to think about what was truly significant. We put aside partisan divide and recognize our shared humanity. And the question for all of us in this moment, in this COVID crisis, is will we lament our fate? And will we look back on this time and say, well, I just survived? Or will we use these moments, these quiet hours, to create a new destiny and look deep inside ourselves to find a renewed sense of purpose and be able to live life regardless of the circumstances, which we can't control, with a greater sense of gratitude and live inspired in a way that gives us a sense of mindfulness to the gift of every breath, not only now, but every day, and the potential we have, if not to change the world, every day to change the world of one person. In the book that I wrote, I help people, and I'm sharing with you now, how do we think about what is the way that I want to be remembered? What is my best self? And go on a journey, once we identify that, to reverse engineer our lives so we can lead the lives now for how we want to be remembered. God willing, we'll experience healing. And months from now, we'll be back to life as normal. But the question is, will we have just passed through this time? Or can we use this time to tap in to a deeper sense of who we are and who we want to be? Viktor Frankl, the noted psychiatrist, when emerging from the ashes of the Holocaust, said, the only choice that we have is how to respond in this particular moment. Most times in life, we are not fully engaged with what we're experiencing. We're moving from here and there. We have what's called continuous partial attention. A great mystic once taught, he said, my job in life is not to resurrect the dead. My job in life is to resurrect the living. And in this moment, we all have been woken up. And the question is, how will we grow through this experience so not only we discover a greater sense of who we are, but we're able to share the best of who we are and see the best in others as well and truly make the world a better place. I want to share just a few thoughts today with you to help you think about how do we reverse engineer our lives so that we can lead our lives with a greater sense of legacy and purpose. The first is to spend a few moments, an hour during this period of time, taking a walk by yourself, asking yourself questions. What are the 5 words that are most significant in my life. How do I want to be remembered? If I have 24 hours to live, what would I do and why? A number of years ago, I asked that question to somebody, and he said, if I had 24 hours to live, I would think about those people in my life who helped me get to where I was today, and I would call them and thank them. And everybody around the room said, what are you waiting for? The fellow called me the next day and said, I've made a pledge in my life that every day I'm going to reach out to somebody who made a difference in my life and thank them. And in that moment, he turned every day not into a day that is fleeting, but to an opportunity to create eternity. Spend time during these days, during these weeks, identify what are the values that we stand for? What do I want to be remembered for? What am I fighting for? Who are the ones in my life that I need to spend more time with? And once we identify what our best self is, then we can reverse engineer our lives. So I want to share 2 ideas about how we do that. Living inspired and discovering your Elijah moment. Living inspired is something that we all are challenged by, and that's the passage of time. We can't stop time, but we can slow down time if we are fully present in the moments that we're experiencing. Too many times we have Paul McCartney disease and sometimes Annie disease. Paul McCartney disease, you ask people how they're doing, and all they can say is, yesterday, all my troubles seem so far away. I would have, I could have, I should have. Then there's Annie disease. Tomorrow, but they're forgetting the present that they're experiencing right now. And that is all that we have. And the question is, can we take those moments that we're experiencing right now and bring heaven down to earth and create something which is eternal? During this crisis, it's understandable. We get overwhelmed. We're moving from place to place, balancing work, family, filled with anxiety. But those are just removing the possibility of really touching somebody's life and truly appreciating the single breath that we are taking in this moment. Unfortunately, there are people that cannot take that breath. And we wake up in the morning and take a breath. God is saying to each and every one of us, I believe in you. There's something unique for you to accomplish today. I'm giving you the gift of life. Make sure that you harness that gift for something great inside yourself and something great in the world. There's a beautiful story that illustrates this. There was a doctor in Maimonides Hospital in Brooklyn. He was very busy. He had a 100-year-old patient who was dying from COVID. The son was trying to get a hold of his mother, and the doctor said he was too busy, until finally the son called back and said, look, just put the phone to my mother's ear. And something inside the doctor said, I'm going to pause, turn off all that noise, and help this son. He brought the phone to the mother. Then he looked on the arm of this 100-year-old woman, and there were numbers there. She was a Holocaust survivor. He put the phone to the ear of this woman, and the man started to recite the prayer of faith, the Shema. And in that moment, the doctor realized that God was sending him a message that despite all the noise, he had to be fully present to create that connection between a mother and her son. We never know what the possibilities are in those moments when we experience, whether it's with our family, with our friends. To live inspired means to understand that in any moment, any time, this is the moment that we have. This is the moment to bring heaven down to earth. One of the other important strategies in reverse engineering our lives and becoming our best selves is not only living inspired, but understanding what I call the Elijah moment. I've seen this oftentimes at funerals where there can be a lot of people there. And if you could ask the deceased who the person was, they wouldn't know. You could ask friends or relatives, they wouldn't know why that person is there, but that person is there because of one moment in time. That individual made a difference in that person's life. It's called the Elijah moment, based on a beautiful story. Elijah was a prophet who would come in to people's lives, and once A young man went to a mystic and said, I want to see Elijah the prophet. I know he comes to lift people up. And the mystic said, go out into the forest. There's a widow there. And you'll see, if you go there for the weekend, bring her food with her family, you'll see Elijah. He goes Friday night, Saturday night, no Elijah. He goes back to the mystic on Sunday and says, you promised me I would see Elijah the prophet. The mystic says, take the food, go back into the forest, and this week you'll see Elijah the prophet. He goes back in deep into the forest on a Friday afternoon. He's within earshot of the home. He hears a young child crying out to the mother, and saying, Mommy, where are we going to get food from for this Sabbath? And the mother turns to the child and says, just like Elijah came last week, Elijah's going to come again. And it was in that moment that he realized that he was the Elijah that this woman was waiting for. Mark Twain says the two most important days of our lives are the day when we're born and the day when we understand why. No encounter is random. If two human beings connect with each other, even if it's virtually, and in that moment you have an opportunity to share a little bit of your light, that is a way maybe not to change the world, but to change the world of one person. And that's an opportunity that we have regardless of our external circumstances, that in the moments that we connect with people, we can truly make a difference in somebody's life. A number of weeks ago, I was at a train station in Philadelphia, and a fellow comes over to me and says, well, would you mind buying me dinner? And I said, how about the Dunkin' Donuts? And he said, I don't want the Dunkin' Donuts. How about the Cajun food? And I said, okay, Cajun food is fine. And after I paid for his food, I said to him, God bless you, Sam. And he went back to me and he said, God has already blessed me. He sent me you. Each one of us has the ability to be God's partner, to make sure that we are not only living inspired in this moment, to be grateful, to count our blessings in every breath, but to know that every day and every hour of every day, we have an opportunity to share a little bit of our light, to make a difference in somebody's life, something we can only do today that we cannot have done yesterday and we cannot have done tomorrow. I believe this moment of pause in the world is an opportunity. And God willing, we'll all not only survive these moments with healing, but we'll turn these days into moments of opportunity, moments of eternity. I just want to conclude with one final story. It's told that every human being, regardless of your faith before you're born, that there's an angel inside that gives us the path to leading a life of legacy and a life of light. And then right before we're born, that angel takes a finger and places it right underneath our nose. And then we forget about that life and that light. And then at the very end of our lives, we're greeted by an angel. And the angel is one we recognize because that's the angel that taught us the secret of that light. And the angel asks us two questions. Did you reveal the light that I planted within you? Did you make the most of every breath of every day to live life with joy, to live life with gratitude? Did you realize your divine potential? And the second question the angel will ask us is, did you share that light with the world? Did you make the world of a better place? And did you do your best to change the world of one person each hour of every day? God willing, when we look back on this time of COVID, we can say that it wasn't only a burden, but to a certain degree it was a blessing to hear our inner voices, to listen to the call that each and every one of us has to realize our best selves. And God willing, in this way, we'll lead our best lives now. And God willing, we'll each tap into that divine frequency, spread some light, and truly make this world a better place. God bless you all.